Before we were addicted to scrolling, before timelines, DMs, algorithms, and filters that turned us into potatoes, there was one website that ruled them all. A chaotic, vulnerable, glittery corner of the internet where we first figured out what it meant to live online. We crafted the perfect profile with painstakingly selected music, headlines, and ranks of our friends in order from first to eighth. Launched in 2003, it didn't just pioneer social networking, it dominated it. By 2006, it had more traffic than Google. At its peak, over 300 million users were part of its universe, making it the most visited website in the United States. It was a launchpad for artists, a crash course in personal branding, and a digital mood ring for millions of angsty teens mastering the art of the mirror selfie. It didn't last, but what it left behind is everywhere, in the way we build profiles, share music, post updates, and curate the internet version of ourselves. And that's why this week's On Brand is on Myspace.
We're all jazzed up, really having a cow. You want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on Brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. I am Jon.
I am Marisa.
Okay.
Oh.
We are going back to you'll tell me. I'm going to guess we're going back to 2000 and thrice.
Yeah, that was the beginning years.
Wow.
Sure.
MySpace. Now, this is interesting.
Yes.
I wasn't a huge MySpace guy. But I did use it. I was on it. Mm-hmm. I picked my top 8.
Who made it?
You know, at the time, it rarely fluctuated. Probably
Morrissey,
because
Robert Smith,
Bjork, Pillsbury Doughboy, Andy Warhol, of course, Bjork,
Peepers the Peep.
Did I say Bjork twice? Am I nervous?
I think so.
Very interesting. I'm excited to learn about.
Do you remember your MySpace handle? Because I found all that is left. Here's a spoiler. Everything got deleted when they transferred servers. So all that remains from the old MySpace is your profile photo. I was able to find mine.
Why'd they leave that?
I don't know how that remained. It's very funny because I met my hubby, David, in 2008. We both had MySpace. And I remember meeting him and being like, I really am into this guy. I think he might be the one. And then going to his MySpace profile picture. There's a very famous photo that boys know about where it was Natalie Portman standing next to Hillary Clinton and she had hard nipples.
Okay.
Do you remember this picture?
No. And I'm a boy, but not that kind of boy.
Not that kind of boy. That's your memoir title. Not that kind of boy.
Secrets from within the storage unit.
And he had his face like photoshopped on Natalie Portman. So it was David's head with Natalie Portman's hard nipples next to Hillary Clinton. I was like, he's the one. He'll be the father of my children.
I have found him.
So if over the course of this, if it strikes you what your MySpace handle can be, or you can, as I did, put in your email address and it'll send you a password reset and then you can log in.
I don't feel like I usually had weird names. I was usually trying to just be John Glover whenever I could. If I was if it was for like smutty material, I was Hollywood Justin. And then at some point, like 10, 15 years ago, I switched everything to Glove Box with 2 X's.
Okay, well, maybe we'll stop down for a minute if we have a bathroom break and you can try to see what your profile picture was.
And I don't have I'm 3 computers away from that. It's not like even buried in like my memory of my. Back then, I probably used Firefox, which I loved Firefox. I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that, but I loved.
What did you love about Firefox?
I had Firefox at the same time that I had like the delicious lickable iMacs.
Yes, okay.
And so like they had made the interface to kind of go with that, so you could pick like a matching interface that like matched your like Tangerine iMac, and like everything looked bubbly and cute, and it was like everything was new, and now everything is like the internet has become like Wendy's and Taco Bell. It's just monochromatic and flat and boring, and who cares?
We've shaved off all the edges. It's just everything is an office. Everything is corporate.
I feel like I am Finding Nemo in a world of those fish that are like or what are those gray fish?
The gray fish.
The big gray fish. I don't know if they said anything, but that's how I feel when I drive around in my blue car and all the cars are brown. It's 1968. All the cars are gray and black and white. No offense if you have those. I just feel like we're a dull world.
You're right, yes, which is actually why MySpace would have been right up your alley, because we'll talk about it later, but like that was what made it so enchanting at the time, is that it was completely customizable.
Yeah. and this might have been, maybe not, a good battle, like Friendster versus MySpace, or the battle of the social medias. That might still be doable.
Well, there are plenty of them now to pull from.
That is true. So right before I came over here, I was doing some last minute tweaking on the show. This is your show, but I do off-brand. We record them on the same day. So I was getting off-brand ready, and a commercial came on that I feel like was so smart.
Oh, okay.
And I love, it's like, hey, I have a branding podcast. I can talk about this. So
we're leaders in the field of marketing and branding.
Apparently, because I Googled it and this commercial came out a month ago, but I have just seen it. But it's a commercial for, I won't even tell you. So the commercial, it is Tori Spelling and Brian Austin Green, like standing outside by a beach house. And I think she says something like, so will you marry me? And like, it's like a little scene, right? And then it's obviously, if you don't remember, you weren't born yet.
Age.
Yeah. It was from a television show, a huge TV show called 90210 that came out, really became popular in 1990, I think. It's probably their anniversary, 91 maybe. So they have this little scene, and then it cuts to the host, and she's like, if you know who they are, you're probably ready for retinol. And I was like, oh my God, that is so smart. They know that whoever was watching that was 20 years old at the time.
That is really...
And now they know that they're all 55.
Really funny.
And that they need like this wrinkle cream. I was like, for some reason, I just thought that was brilliant.
That is genius. And my dad would always say anytime there was like an old star, like in something, he would go, just glad to see him working.
Just glad to see him working. They both look good. The scene, I don't know if it was AI or actually from the show.
Might have been 100% cyber generated.
Because no shade on misspelling, but I feel like her looks have gotten complicated.
Sure, and I think the lines are blurring. It's like, what is at a certain point, plastic surgery just becomes AI. Like they merge and become one.
And Brian Austin Green looked good. I got to say, I did have a crush on him.
He's cute.
One of my first boy crushes was giving off Brian Austin Green vibes, and I really liked that look.
Yeah, did he have like the Caesar, like the combed forward?
At some point, he did have the Caesar. Not the best look. I also went through the Caesar phase.
Sure,
if you're of a certain age, you don't know. In 1991, 1992, we all wanted to look like
Julius Caesar. Also, this is also like the celebrities that kids want to look like now is like a certain YouTuber, a certain whatever, BMX bike rider. I don't know anybody. But the fact that like if you were 11 years old or whatever, you were like, you know who I actually want to kind of start to get my vibe from? Julius Caesar.
You son of a bitch. I am ready for your look. I remember
having zaps.
I will find a picture at some point, I'm sure, and post it. I know I promise that a lot. I try to fulfill those, but
sure.
it was like to hear. It was almost a cult
Honey,
cut.
That's not a Caesar. The Caesar has to be short.
Well, mine wasn't.
Honey, you had bangs.
Okay. No, it was short. When you see it, you're going to be like, yeah, that was a Caesar.
At a certain point, were your eyebrows covered?
No.
But you had bangs.
No, you could see forehead.
Okay.
But if you do it here, there's a fine line between the Caesar cut and a cult. Because if it's here, you're either Aurora, if you know, or you're in a cult.
And I feel like what made it a Caesar was gel.
Oh, for sure. Mine was shiny.
It had to be shiny, and it had to be like into little segments.
And you know who got me into it? George Michael.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Great. Maybe if I get my hair cut short, I can be a very talented singer and a world pop star.
We have to pull up a story that has yet to be told because we keep not having enough time.
It keeps getting pushed and pushed.
And I know people are, every day I wake up, my voicemail is full with people asking, John, we want to know what happened at curbside check-in when you flew back from Ohio.
Okay, so let's walk through it. You know who this story goes out to?
Who?
You've got to find him because I can't look it up. Whoever was giving me shade on the Discord about,
I'll pull that up quickly.
They said, listen, I tried to do, they did search counter and you can probably find it. They were like, I tried the curbside check-in and it didn't work and you're wrong. And then we found out.
Well, the person laughed at him because he was trying to slip a little money to.
Oh, no, they laughed at him.
They laughed at him, yes. Because the person working laughed because he tried to slip a little money in exchange for his bag being overweight. And then it came out
that he was not slipping money to the curbside guy. Mm-hmm. He was slipping money to the counter attendant. They are not going to they can't
entirely
take tips.
I think it would be I think they would go to jail if they did.
They're on cameras. Now, here's the thing you may not know. I don't think the curbside people work for an airline. I think they are they're
basically Postmates. Drivers.
Yeah. What is that? Third party. They're a different company that comes in and deals with the curbside. Mm-hmm. They're not a Delta employee. When you go deal with a Delta employee, you're going to get screwed. Okay, but here's the story. So I went home recently for a pretty extended stay. I was home for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. I was there with a mission. I was helping my mom sort through some stuff at her house. I wasn't there to shop. I wasn't there to do my usual rigmarole.
Sure.
I had gotten through 18 days of this trip and had barely acquired a thing. I was like, oh my God. And I will say, this always happens about 5 days from when I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
you start to panic.
No, I'm like, wow, I haven't got anything. I'm going to do it this time. My bag's only going to weigh 12 pounds.
Preemptively proud of yourself.
Yes.
Sure.
So then I go and have dinner with my very good friend, Sandy. Mm-hmm. Sandy I had not seen in several years. One of Sandy's love languages is gift giving. Mm. So she brought me a bag of about 30 gifts. I have never seen anything like it.
What kind
of
gifts?
The bag itself was a gift. It was the bag itself was this cool vinyl record carrier. Mm-hmm. There was it was stuff she had collected over the years. There was a glow-in-the-dark Starbucks tumbler in there. There was a sleeve for your McDonald's thing. She is a penophile, not a pedophile.
That has a letter ever mattered more.
And it all comes down to the pen and how you write your N's or D's. I don't even know if that's a word, but she's a pedophile. She loves pens. She collects them.
That'd be some good merch, a pin that says certified pedophile.
I'm safe. I'm just a pedophile. She loves pens. They're great. I don't know much about pens. She got me 3 pens. So we're going through, pens are cool as hell. But now because of this dinner, I'm officially now a pen collector because I have 3.
You have 3, yeah.
She gave me ink. She gave me Tupperware to put things in. It was just a lot of stuff. So all of a sudden, and it was all great. I'm hard to buy for. And everything I open, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'll have to post a picture of this. Her mom made... it looks like a pot holder, just to give you an idea of the shape of it. But her mom made this cloth trivet with hand painted, a hand stitched or painted skyline chili thing with a skyline thing written on the back of it. It's so cool. Cute. Looks like something you would buy from Etsy. Loved everything. Thank you, Sandy. But all of a sudden I now have, so now it's starting. And then by the end of the trip, I've gone and gotten pineapple upside down cake.
What?
I got a full pineapple upside down cake.
A full cake?
I got a full lemon chess pie.
What?
I mean, it was I'm never there in the spring.
Which, by the way,
we're $8.
Would have been really great to bring over some Friday night.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. Just so you know, when I get these things, so it's not I'm I have a pie and I place it in my suitcase and I go home and I take the pie out and I put it on the counter. I chop it up in several pieces and mush it into a to-go container.
What?
So the ones that you get a tub of mac and cheese. So when I get back here, I just eat it with a spoon. It's not something I can...
Is that for space saving in your bag? You're I thought you were going to say that you cut out the slices, then you tuck them in a shoe or in your...
I do put that container then into a shoe. So then I always have to get at least 3 cans of Skyline because I'm worried that I'll run out. And I got this, I got that. All of a sudden, I'm packing the night before and I'm oh my gosh. I was and I do lift checks as I'm packing it. And I know when I start to get to...
Do you have a scale?
I do. I don't feel like it's trustworthy, but I do have one. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was riding the line.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, just that thrilling edge.
It's not. I'm there every time. And it's so I have to get, my flights are always early and I have to get picked up at 4 in the morning and I'm stressed out about how much pie I have. And I had ribs. I had pastrami. I had cheese.
We have food here in LA.
Well, my sister had gotten the Zingerman thing, so I was bringing those leftovers home. My other friends took me out to dinner for ribs and I got full really fast and I'd ordered a whole rack, so I had to bring those ribs back.
So you have bones in your bag?
I got bones in my bag.
What about your trick of a big duty-free bag just filled to the brim?
Bitch, that was already full.
Of what?
That had a big thing of these cheese puff things I like from Mike Sells. Mike Sells cheese puffs. You would love them. They're called puff corn. They're not a cheese Cheeto. They're
like a cheese
fluffier
doodle?
and I don't know. They're hard to explain. Anyway, this is going on too long. So I have a lot. My bag is heavy. I get to the airport. And one of my tricks is if I have the opportunity while he is wrapping up the last person and putting their bag behind him, I sneak my bag onto the weight real quick to see what it's going to be. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
58 pounds. 58 pounds. That's 8 pounds over. I know they'll give you a leniency of 2.
We've never done 8. 8 is...
I've never done 8. I've never pushed it like this
Though
before.
the cheese doodles, they sound like they're
Those
light.
aren't even in the bag.
I know, but I'm imagining you could maybe put those in the bag and then swap out something heavier for the...
bag. The bag of the cheese doodles is like
the
this.
heavy stuff should go in the accessory.
But here's why I
Put
can't.
your ribs in there.
Here's why I don't. Like the corn pudding. I had 2 quarts of corn pudding, of course. I never know if those are going to be a liquid.
2 quarts.
2 quarts.
Corn pudding can't be a liquid.
I never know.
We never know. That's true. That's
I
true.
have been told by some people if it's incorporated in food, it's fine. Yet again, cut to them taking away my Dolly Parton frosting.
Sure.
That was
my
a food.
fudge, yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to trick number 2. He's coming back. I'm like, I'll put my bag on. I put it on. I try to have it hang over a little bit. So that takes just a little bit of pressure off. You might gain.
One wheel is dangling.
One wheel is dangling. That might give you just a little bit of breathing room.
Okay.
So then I'm like, then trick number 3, you start making small talk. How's your morning going? God, has it been crazy? There was no traffic getting here. You worked so early, blah, blah, blah. You try to just distract him. So he's like, get this guy out of here and give him my ticket. And then he's like, your bag, it's 58 pounds. And I was like, oh, is it? I was like, gotta head back with that chili. And everyone in Cincinnati knows what I'm talking. So
you get a glimmer in their eye, knowing nod, been their girlfriend, yes.
Everyone in California loves it when I make the skyline dip. So I had to grab some chili. he's like, they'll fine you. And I was like, well, let me ask you this. Is anyone else weighing this bag after you? Or are you like it? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, is anyone else weighing it? He's like, no. I was like, so, what if I just tip you really well?
You just say it.
I just said it this time. I just had to put it out there because we were dealing this.
Unprecedented.
I was like, what if I just give you a really nice tip? I was like, then it's like, no, it's like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
He's like, can you get 4 pounds out of it? He's like, can you get it to 54? And I'm like, I'll be honest, man, I can try, but I'm going to have corn pudding and ribs in my pockets. And he's like, just see what you can do. So I get down on the ground.
Oh, God. Unzip, hunched over.
Yes. 5 a.m. in Cincinnati.
Did you try shoes on your hands? The latest fashion, shoe gloves?
I'm wearing a shoe necklace.
Never leave home without them.
I take out
Stack a bunch of shoes up on top of your head. Shoe hat.
I look like an old National Geographic photo. And in his native land, chili coming out of everywhere.
It's very Seussian.
I just pour the chili into my pockets.
Yeah.
So I pull out like a long silver aluminum foiled wrapped rib thing and like some corn pudding and a couple things. And
Put googly eyes on it, pretend it's a dog. Put it in a little carrier, woof woof.
There is an iconic I Love Lucy where she tries to bring home 25 pounds of cheese and she dresses it up like a baby and just carries it like a baby.
Maybe that would be a good
I'm
thing
headed
for you.
there.
I think we're headed there.
So I like...
Shh, he's sleeping. Sir, are those ribs?
I'll just have a Diet Coke. You don't have to open it. So I get a few things out and I'm on my knees holding ribs, I'm on my knees holding bones. Okay. And chili. And I look and I was like, it did it. I was like, it's 54. He's like, okay, good. And then I looked at him and I was like, can I just put it back in the bag? And he's like, yeah. And he lets me put it back in the bag. I give him $10. I tell him to have a beautiful day. And I go about my way because I gave a little money to the curbside guy.
Yeah, he gave a little money to the curbside guy. Oh my God, that is a victory.
So
also, like the arbitrariness of that, like he just had to see it as 54 because he knew if his boss asked.
He saw this like, sad gay 54. Man on his knees holding chili and pudding.
And then it's kind of like, whatever you do, I saw 54, whatever you do after, that's up to you. And then it's like, you put it back in. Yeah, it's like almost like that he had to kind of like hide that he saw that.
Yeah. And then so just for kicks, after that was all taken care of, my carry-on was also very heavy. I threw it on the scale just to see. 47 pounds for just my carry-on bag.
Oh my God.
Do you know how hard that is to get up in the thing? My carry-on bag is as much as a normal checked-in bag is supposed to weigh. Plus, I've got my my fake bag of like just goodies that I put as much stuff in there. I mean,
unbelievable.
5 days ago, I thought I was going home with nothing.
Well, and you get a personal item too. You get like a backpack.
Oh, that's full of all my snacks in my laptop.
There's more food in there?
Yeah, that's for the plane.
The ribs aren't for the plane. The corn pudding is.
No,
is
that's for
plane.
home.
Tell me you at least ate all of it.
Well,
because to travel with this much food, you better have been putting away a full pie, a full cake, a full rack of ribs, 2 quarts of corn pudding.
I did my best.
Okay.
I feel like I did my best. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And so that is the most recent edition of Curbside Guy.
I'll give a shout out. It's Joe Brony88 from the Discord, who he was the one who had the Hazinga with the not Curbside Guy check-in desk.
Joe Brony, I'll try to make an MP3 of just this lesson. This is my mini TED Talk, my mini John Talk.
You play this in headphones as you're walking up to the airport.
You feel confident. You walk with confidence to the Curbside Guy.
Yeah, money
and just
talks.
be super nice, have the money out, and you can get away with it too.
And sometimes I like the boldness of just asking. Say like, well, what if I give you a big tip? Yeah, that's
You
great.
want money? I want in.
Yeah.
Let's swap.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's make each other's days.
Yeah. You scratch my back, I'll give you a rib.
Wow, I'm already exhausted by
I am
that
too. I'm
story.
already sweating. I was like, we still have to do on and off brand.
I'm like, okay, great. And that was our episode on ribs. Our ribs on or off brand for you. Forgot we even have like a whole other thing to get into. Okay.
So teach me about
So let me
MySpace.
teach you about MySpace. So we know what MySpace is now. Let's talk about how it began. So the seed of the idea started in 1997. So one of 2 major players in the story, we have Chris DeWolf. He's a business student at USC, and he created as part of his final project for his master's degree, a class project called Zeitgeist, which is kind of a fun name, like Zeitgeist.
And I don't know, but 1997 you said?
1997. So there was a lot going on in that
USC,
time.
I'm feeling like he's hot.
Titanic.
Oh. I was already so focused on what I was going to say.
You heard like a college guy.
Wait, let's rewind. Okay, so you said 1997?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. What else happened that year? I did not realize that this was thought of.
In your mind, you were trolling the campus downtown around USC looking for some hot college kid to blow.
I had immediately switched to Hollywood Justin.
Exactly. That's what happens. Much like profiles, you switched to you logged out, logged in.
Yeah.
He created this project called Zeitgeist, and it blended the social features of Match.com, which
I didn't even know that was out already.
I didn't know that was like seen as like a hot spot for social engagement.
Well,
sure.
I feel like when you're in that space, they're like, oh, you know what Match does really good?
Yeah,
they do this. So
they
let's
do
emulate
chatting.
that.
They do chatting very well. City Search, we remember City Search, and AOL Instant Messenger into one platform. AOL Instant Messenger, very pivotal for my generation.
Oh my
Yours as well,
gosh.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about chat rooms. It's where, I would dabble in psychic readings. I would try to find romance. A lot was happening on AOL Instant Messenger.
I would always have, maybe this is a precursor to the pod, but I would always have for AOL under your name, you could have like a one sentence like blurb. I would always have a fun fact.
Oh, like what?
I would always search like once a month. I would search like weird news and like make a list of like funny things. Like, did you know it takes 13 ladybugs to blah blah blah?
That's like what we do now.
I know. I've been doing it forever.
I think, are you talking about your away message?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Or I think it just lived there. Maybe
It'd be like a little headline, little status something.
Yeah.
Like
status.
a little. Yeah.
Status.
I remember.
It's complicated.
Putting a lot of energy into the perfect like combination of like mysterious and intriguing. Something to really hook my crush's eye.
And you could set it so they didn't know when you had started using your computer again, because I did not like people to know when I was sitting at the computer. I do that in our Discord. It always says I'm idle.
That is so true. I'll be like, John's really chatting a lot for a guy who's idle. So this is all these components of popular websites at the time into one platform. Chris DeWolf, he got an A on his project, but most importantly, he got an idea. So flash forward to 2003. Chris is working at a company called eUniverse, which is an internet marketing company. And he and his other employees, they were talking about Friendster, which was MySpace's predecessor at the time. And he was kind of reminded of Zeitgeist back in the day in 1997. And he saw potential for its Zeitgeist to be kind of rebirthed in a new iteration and capitalizing on all these this new interest in social media that Friendster is kind of birthed in a small way. So the group decided to mimic the more popular features of Friendster, but put their own twist on it. But within 10 days, the first version of MySpace was ready for launch. So the project was led by Chris DeWolf and a fellow eUniverse coworker named Tom Anderson. So let's talk for a second about Tom Anderson.
Oh, tell me.
We all remember our first friend on MySpace, Tom.
Tom.
He was everybody's friend. Do you remember his
Was
picture?
it was like a weird, but I was like, he seems probably cute enough.
Yeah. You have your Hollywood Justin hat on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you don't really remember your MySpace profile. I think you only had Hollywood Justin because I think for you it was probably mostly a flirting platform.
Well,
more of a Match.com.
Not MySpace. I've never known how to use social media for flirting. People are like, I met my husband on Facebook. I'm like, how? All I do, I get like vintage LA pictures.
Yeah, in the comments, you write like, what intersection is this? And then somebody responds and they're like, oh, that's at Gower and Gower Gulch. And then you're like, cool, do you live near there? And then you're like, you know what I mean? It just
hungry?
Meet me at that Arby's.
Togo's?
Not there anymore.
Why now? I'm going to be depressed the rest of the show.
Okay, I'm going to distract you with a fun story about Tom.
Okay.
So we know MySpace Tom. We know his profile picture. He was all of our friends. I'm going to tell you about a little bit where Tom came from. So he grew up in San Diego, and his parents were alcoholics. We had kind of like a rough childhood.
Jeez.
He was always very into computers. In fact, in 1985, at the age of 13, which is coincidentally the same year that the movie War Games was released. Do you remember War Games, Matthew Broderick?
Do I remember War Games? Do I remember?
It was Matthew Broderick, right?
Yeah,
okay, yes,
that's
okay.
Matthew Broderick.
Yes.
Sarah Jessica Parker's soon-to-be husband. War Games is so good. I
so
watched
good.
it probably, 4 years ago and couldn't believe how good I still thought it was.
Yeah, it's great.
He's so good at it. Like, he's so perfect at that character. And it's all about, like, how it's like, it's even before the net, which I think is so good. Like, I love seeing how, like, the vision of how early computers could ruin your life or the world.
Yes. It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, pull over.
And Ali Sheedy, I think.
Yeah, it's a great cast.
Yeah.
Not a kid's movie, like necessarily. It's an everyone movie.
Yeah.
Movies used to be like that more. I think they were more like everyone. Like Back to the Future was kind of like, is that a kid's movie? It's like an everyone movie. But they're like rated like PG.
It's like Gremlins. It's like, is that a horror movie or a Christmas movie? It's a Christmas movie. It is. And
it could be a kid's movie if you don't mind your children being lightly traumatized.
And don't get me started. You can't feed them after midnight. When can you start feeding them?
Feeding them? Say sundown. Say sun up.
Give me something.
Daylight savings. What's
8
going
o'clock?
on?
I don't know. It's really important to know.
War Games is released. Tom is 13. It's 1985. Tom becomes a full-on computer hacker.
Love it.
According to this New York Times article, in 1985, he was able to figure out how to hack into computer systems by figuring out the right phone number. This is war dialing, which was part of War Games, I believe.
You hear that's probably the same as like when we had early AOL, like it was dialing something.
So you use a simple computer program that dialed sequential phone numbers until it receives a modem response, signaling a computer system on the other end. Do you remember calling and it would be like, so you would call, you'd get a fax machine.
Oh my God, there's a really funny Seinfeld with that.
Yeah, that was always a really fun. There used to be a lot of like fun phone stuff that happened. Way more fun than the phone stuff we have going on now.
Yeah, now nothing happens. People just listen to podcasts.
So you would find out you had a computer system on the other end, and then that would get you past password security. Somehow it was like a weird like loophole in security where if you were able to like dial it in, backdoor, you had access to whatever system you called. So according to this New York Times article, his alias was Lord Flathead. He was the leader he's now 14, the leader of an early black hat hacker group. And in July and August of 1985, between his freshman and sophomore year, so it's like summer before he goes into his sophomore year, Tom hacked into the Chase Manhattan Bank computer system that handled all of their data processing, record keeping, records of home mortgages, portfolios of major customers, pension funds. He subsequently showed 40 of his friends how to do the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
So he guessed the passwords necessary to get through to the first level of security. And then once he was in, he changed passwords to prevent bank officials from accessing the system.
Wow, he was a real rapscallion.
He was a real rapscallion.
And I know he doesn't care, but at this, just to give you a little bit of context, at this exact same time, Swatch Watch is at its peak. peak.
I'm sure he had
It
a
is its
swatch on.
prime designs during mid-'80s.
What is the prime the prime design from 1985, 1986? What's on your wrist?
Are you kidding me? Osiris is one of my favorites. They went through like a little Egyptian moment. And so for the Osiris watch, they also had like t-shirts, and you could get like a beach towel. You get sunglasses. They had Tonga, which was kind of like an African one. My favorite one of all time. Technosphere came out in 85 or 86.
Wow.
That was like a clear one that had a Dayglow green ring around it. Give me Dayglow green any day of the week.
You and Dayglow green.
He's like shutting down Chase Bank. I'm over at Shillitoe's trying to like shoplift a Swatch.
You needed to hack into Swatch.
I needed to hack into Swatch.
Yeah, you did. So he left a message through a fictitious account that he made on Chase Bank's whatever server under his Lord Flathead name, saying that unless he was given free use of the system, he would destroy the entire database.
Oh my God.
The bank notified the FBI, and they set up an electronic trap in the computer system that traced all of the calls to at least 23 homes in the San Diego area. Because at this time, he's told all of his little hacker rapscallion buddies how to do the same thing. So he has like 40 buds who are all in on this like hacking scheme.
And this isn't like burner phone time either.
No,
these are
like moms making like Chef Boyardee in the kitchen, and like the kid is like hacking into it in like the computer room.
That's so crazy.
50 FBI agents raided the homes of Tom and his friends, seizing 25 personal computers. The raids were conducted simultaneously at 7 p.m. to prevent anyone from notifying the other hackers and giving them a chance to destroy evidence. And the expectation of the FBI agents was that these were like elite, top-level hackers, adults.
Right.
When they enter these homes, they're all like little pimply-faced Swatch watch-wearing kids.
They're like playing with a Rubik's Cube,
Exactly.
and they're like ring socks.
Yes, and this was one of the largest FBI raids in California history.
How have I never heard this story?
Isn't this so exciting? This is fun stuff.
This couldn't have been what War Games was based on, because that came out too early.
Yeah, it was around the same time, so I guess just hacking was on the brain.
Wow.
I don't know. So he was hacking for a while before the raid, but he was a minor at the time that the raid happened. So he just agreed. They can't do anything. He's a minor. What are they going to do? Throw him in jail? He agreed to stop. He made a promise that he would stop committing computer crimes. He was put on probation. They took his computers. They were never returned. One of the reasons he said that he got into hacking, he never took any money. He never compromised anybody's data, or like he could have created an account for himself and transferred all of the money into it. Yeah. He never did any of that. He said, and he hasn't officially spoken out in response to this story, but what is speculated is that he would hack into these systems to get access to computers that could run a C compiler to learn programming. So there was no way for someone like him to access these C compilers, whatever the hell that is, open source, whatever, to learn how to do this like programming, like on this scale. So I guess he's an ethical hacker. He did make some threats, but he didn't use it for like ultimate power and destruction.
Well, that's good to know.
So I guess that's good to know. So
there's just people that are wired that way.
I can't imagine.
Like, no pun intended, but like they just understand computers in a way that I think normals don't.
Sure. And he is definitely, I pun intended, wired that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's MySpace Tom.
I thought you say that's MySpace. I'm like, that was a short episode.
So now they have their little baby website. MySpace is setting out to be what Friendster was and even more. So in the early 2000s, social media, it was kind of starting to take off. And so in contrast of what MySpace was compared to Friendster, what they wanted it to be. Friendster was slow. It was very controlled. The pages took forever to load. Friendster they were really controlling over who could make a profile. So for example, if you were a band and you made a Friendster account, they would delete your page. They really, like, for some reason, had these strict guidelines of who they thought could like make profiles. To get MySpace off the ground, by the way, they coded for 18 hours a day. They were sleeping in the office. They hired 25 people to work 24/7.
That office
stunk.
That shit stunk.
Ball sack city.
Holy, and Fritos. I'm definitely getting, like, if you were to make one of those candles,
yes,
like silicon think tank.
Oh my God. 10 days in MySpace, and it was like, imagine that candle.
Sweat.
Hairy butt crack sweat.
Fritos.
Gatorade.
Yes,
Slim Jims. Disgusting. So the breakthrough idea of what was going to make MySpace different from Friendster, which was the predecessor, was to remove all restrictions. This means it would give its users total design freedom, no limits on their connections, custom backgrounds in music. You could use HTML to like fully like integrate into your profile. It would just be like completely open-ended. people thought, oh, that's going to be messy. It's going to be like too like chaotic. But the users really loved it because coming from Friendster, where everything had to like be in a box, they loved the freedom and the expression that they were given through MySpace. MySpace also welcomed anyone to promote their band, their art, their film, their music. It was all about supporting artists to find their community, which is not really something that I think about when I think of MySpace, but that is where it originated. And that was a big bulk of the early users. It was people promoting their music. So
I remember that. I remember that my like coming off of Friendster, which I don't feel like I was on for that long. If I was, it's all a blur. But I do remember MySpace having that recognition of being more of a band space. Or it was like,
do you remember having music that would play when you went to your profile? Like you would select a song and it would autoplay?
No, I don't remember that. But I'm sure, that makes sense. It'd be like a library of music that you could select.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to get users to find out about MySpace and to convert from Friendster, they had to just like do an explosive spam, basically, that they did to reach out to as many people as possible to get them to create profiles. They even had office contests. Who could bring in the most users? You'd get like some kind of like bonus or promotion if you did. It started with like the LA community, the New York community. Creatives really flocked to it right away. For some reason, Hawaii, 70% of internet users in Hawaii had a MySpace account in the early days.
Well, Hawaii is so cut off from everything. Like it probably
maybe they really liked it to see what was going on the mainland.
Yes, to see what was going on in the mainland. I know you like to make fun of me for the way I say the mainland, but yes.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. So it was kind of like messy. It was really youthful. It was exciting. And it was really working. And then by 2005, MySpace was everywhere. Musicians are uploading their tracks. Emo teens are taking their selfies and customizing their profiles. People are learning HTML to create like custom backgrounds and like graphics on their page and custom fonts. It was really a platform for expression. So for the first time, a website gave people a way to curate their personalities in a public space, which is something we're familiar with now. But at this time, it was like unprecedented.
That's why it was called MySpace. We're coming off of Friendster. Let's stir the pot. No way. Who's fighting, girl? I don't have time tonight. But now this is MySpace.
Exactly. And the integration of music really defined what MySpace would come to be. It became a music discovery machine. So artists like Arctic Monkeys, Lily Allen, Sean Kingston, even Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga gained early momentum on MySpace.
Who? I'm not familiar.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
And it was interesting because for the first time also, this was a way for artists to connect directly with fans. So
wait, it couldn't have been Lady Gaga as Gaga. It had to be Stephanie. Wasn't she not even Lady
Stephanie
Gaga
Turdioni?
until... Yeah, she wasn't Lady...
2010?
Oh, we're at 10. It was still around in 2010?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I was thinking it was long gone.
No, it was still, it started to get, we're jumping ahead a little bit for the purpose of this music, but by 2010, over 8 million musicians had been discovered through the platform. So typically, if a musician wanted to connect with their fans or a fan wanted to connect with a musician, it would be through the label. It would be like highly curated. You'd be sending a letter to Capitol Records and hope it gets to whoever.
Dear Coldplay.
Dear Coldplay, loved your new song Yellow. Are you touring anytime soon? And then maybe Chris Martin answers and he writes you back.
Different time.
It's a different time. That was really interesting for people.
Fun fact, I got a signed Coldplay CD last year. He just put a C. Just a C. Just to see. He did 1 million of them, though, so I get it, but it's like, a C.
That's so lazy. He's not like 100 years old. I feel like if somebody's like over 80, you're allowed to just do a C. Like Elton John. Just do the E.
Not even an E.
You got like a worm. You got a caterpillar. MySpace then launched their own record label. It became the place for premieres, launches of albums, and it even beat Google as the most visited site in the U.S.
Wow.
So we're still in 2005. I just jumped to 2010 to say that
over
8 million musicians had been discovered through the platform by 2010. But we're still in 2005.
Got it.
So 2005, News Corp, Rupert Murdoch's media empire,
oh boy,
bought MySpace for $580 million.
No. Bye-bye, MySpace. Bye-bye.
It's always the death bell.
And of all people, Rupert.
Someone with their finger on the pulse.
Oh, my God.
But what the youth are into.
Yeah.
A year later, MySpace signed a $900 million deal with Google. It was the most trafficked site in America. It had over 115 million monthly visitors. And then, after that deal, in 2005, a little boy named
Bartholomew Simpson.
A little boy named Mark Zuckerberg I'm going to call him Bark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, we can call him Barky.
Canonically, that's what we'll call him. In 2005, a little boy named Bark Zuckerberg offered to sell Facebook to MySpace. MySpace had an opportunity to buy Facebook.
Is this their Hazinga?
For $75 million, but the CEO, Krista Wolf, who we heard about earlier, rejected the offer, turned it down, said not interested. We got our own thing going on.
Wait, so Rupert buys MySpace for 500 whatever million. A year later, he sells it.
Later that same year.
He sells it for 900 million. He almost doubles his money in a year.
They signed a deal with Google, so I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
didn't sell,
exactly how much of that. Yeah.
Oh, and that may be over years and years and years.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be drawn out.
All right, got
but if we're talking about Hazingas, it's like the Blockbuster Netflix thing.
Well, that is the Hazinga.
The Hazinga. That's the original
That's
Hazinga.
the original
yeah,
one.
but there were a few. It was like he wanted to make like Blockbuster Land. Remember, he had many.
But that is
Hazingas.
where Hazinga originates.
So you could call this a Zuckerberg.
A Zuckinga.
Actually, it would be a DeWolf because he's the one who rejected the offer. Later in 2005, this is all still after the acquisition, the Rupert Murdoch deal. Zuckerberg, he's feeling like Facebook is getting pretty valuable. Are you sure you don't want to buy it? The price is now $750 million. It's gone up from $75 million to $750 million in a year. I'm still willing to sell it. Are you interested?
Oh my god.
MySpace still rejects it. They say, listen, God bless, we got our own thing going on. Good luck to you, good sir. MySpace is doing just fine, thank you. We don't need to buy your crappy little Facebook.
You pasty dough boy.
And then quietly, everything started to change, and there's a subtle migration. Everybody starts moving from MySpace to Facebook. Do you remember getting your first Do you remember starting to deleting MySpace as your tab frequently used
I don't
tab?
remember my first one or setting it up, but I do remember like the shift.
Yeah, the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like, this is the cool place to be now. But then I remember the shift when like all parents are using Facebook now.
Sure.
And now it's like the lame
dorky.
place to be.
I know. Isn't it so weird how these things change? That's why it's like...
Same with TikTok. That exact same thing happened with TikTok. When I got on it, I feel like, when I got on TikTok, it was also about discovering music. And it was also for like cool young people like myself. And now it's turned into like celebrities and grannies.
Yeah. And it would be like the dancing app. I feel like it was for dancing.
It was for dancing.
Yeah. So it's interesting how these trends kind of change. And what originally made MySpace desirable in the beginning was how kind of open-ended it was, how customizable it was, but it started to feel a little chaotic. Because everybody's page looked different, there wasn't really like a clear brand identity.
Oh yeah, because couldn't you do like wallpaper?
You could make your wallpaper.
Everything was chaotic.
Everything was a song. You'd click over someone's page and it would be like, "Wish you would step back from that land," and you'd be like, "Jesus Christ!" Like it would.
Who is this guy? Hi, you don't know me. My name is Justin.
It was just like it was an assault on the senses a little bit, and then because it was so customizable, it's like, what even is the MySpace brand? It's kind of like left open to whoever wants to tinker around on HTML.
Yeah.
Comparison, you go over to Facebook. Facebook is clean. It's sterile. It's calm. Everything's in like little boxes. It's minimal. Somebody wrote about it. They said if MySpace was your bedroom, it had posters on the wall and laundry on the floor and a song playing at all times. Facebook is like your office badge photo. It's minimal. It's polished and curated. It's clean. It's simple. Everything is like you just like drop down menus. What's your relationship status? Like what are you looking for? Where do you live? It was just like really kind of by the book. And it's
like
interesting.
Dollar Tree versus West Elm.
Exactly. So it kind of swung in the other way. So people who had gotten tired of MySpace and apparently had a lot of like glitches and pages weren't loading, there was a lot of spam, the control and the simplicity of Facebook felt really comforting, especially for older users, people who were parents or teachers, grown-ups, bosses. You didn't need to know HTML. It was just very accessible, clean, and easy. And then MySpace kind of became a place for like the kids, like the punky, angsty kids. And then MySpace was for the people who like wanted to like be a little bit more mature.
You know why it was like that?
Why?
Because you know who Mark looked up to?
Who?
Steve Jobs. And his whole philosophy was like, just make it work.
Just make it work.
Make it as simple as possible. Plug in. If you get a new computer, I want to be on the internet within 5 minutes.
Yep.
He totally followed that same philosophy. So it makes perfect sense if that's how that would be presented.
It definitely translated. And I did hear one story. I found it was just one guy saying it. And he said he heard the story direct from Tom, MySpace Tom, but I couldn't find it like any record of it in any like article. that there was a time before the offer to sell Facebook where Tom was doing some kind of like presentation and Mark Zuckerberg was there in the audience and then approached Tom and was like, I'm trying to build up my social media website. Do you like have any ideas? And like, it's not really like getting any traction. Nobody's joining. And MySpace Tom gave Zuckerberg the advice like, well, you only have one photo. You need albums. And then Zuckerberg was like, oh, I'm going to get albums. And then like Facebook exploded.
It's like in that scene in that movie too, where he was calling it the Facebook
yeah.
and then that yucky guy from that band,
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake was like, lose the.
That won't be the last time you hear about Justin Timberlake in this episode.
Really? Okay. I hope it's about the nip slip.
We can do a whole episode on that. So MySpace was about performance. Facebook was about presentation. MySpace was built by creatives and musicians. Facebook was built by computer science majors, people like Zuckerberg, who admired Steve Jobs. MySpace let you tell the world how you felt. Facebook asked you what you are doing. Remember that. Status update. What are you doing? This was a shift, kind of just the internet growing up, getting neater, less emotional, more marketable. And I remember even thinking that too, like, you would have to kind of curate your Facebook profile to think about like, well, what if my boss sees this? Which wasn't really something that you would ever thought about before.
And now it's like, I mean, I haven't looked for a job in a normal way in a long time, but like your social media is picked through by like job potential.
Crazy,
like everyone's looking at everything you've posted. It's all very.
And then like you'll have to have two. You'll have to have one that's like, you like clean, live in, by the book, and then the other one is you like passed out in a trash can partying with your friends.
So I was ahead of the time when I created Hollywood Justin.
I think you were. Facebook kept doing updates that just made the user experience even better and better. Like you could tag on photos, it's status updates, the like button. It made it harder and harder for people to go back to MySpace because they just were ahead of the curve in every single way. By 2009, Facebook had more users than MySpace. And by 2011, MySpace had lost tens of millions. So it had really hung around longer than I thought.
Me too.
But then I even remember, I look back at my old MySpace page and like the improv teams that we were on, like we had like MySpace pages.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and so I'm like, for some reason it like, in my mind, it fell off like way earlier than it actually did.
I mean, the last 25 years are a blur.
Really
it's like
are.
throw COVID in there, and it's like I am so confused by time.
I've lost decades for sure.
It's insane.
So 2011, MySpace is kind of scrambling. Leadership is changing. Tom and Chris are out. Redesigns are coming and going. New ownership took over. One of the people who bought MySpace was Justin Timberlake.
No.
He was part of a group that bought MySpace in 2011. And I think he was thinking of it like the push to lean into the music.
He was like, I was in a movie about Facebook, so I can run MySpace.
Might actually be what inspired him. In 2019, during a server migration, MySpace lost everything uploaded before 2016. So over 50 million songs, years of blogs, photos, messages are gone forever.
I would say that was a very unsuccessful migration.
So like, isn't that the whole point
Isn't
of the
the
migration?
whole point of a migration is we're moving everything over? Ugh, we lost everything.
Sure. If a bunch of puffins are migrating, for example, and they all die, except
that would be
10.
an unsuccessful migration.
Exactly. So you can still log into MySpace. I was able to put in my email address and say forgot password, and they did send me my old password. But the site is just, there's nothing there. It's like you just have your profile photo, and it is now primarily a music social media, but I don't even know, like, it's not even clear, like, are you listening to music on there? No, like, it's just a way to like show musicians.
I feel like a few years ago, I started out of nowhere getting emails from MySpace again, and they're like, hey, remember us? And it was all about music. Like, it was all about like band discovery.
Yeah, it's all about band discovery. Yeah, which I mean, I don't know who's discovering bands on MySpace.
Well, yeah, now with like Apple Music and
or Spotify,
they like put together discovery playlists for you, which are so good.
And Spotify almost has like a social media element of it too, because you can see what other people are listening to. You can like add friends and like see their playlists. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think because it is a name that we know so well, like MySpace, I feel like there would be an opportunity for them to come back in a big way if they just had like a completely new direction, new leadership. Honestly, I think it would be a pretty effective campaign to re-upload the original MySpace platform and let people just like make profiles and like communicate in the same way they used to, because I think it's the same thing. Like, we're overwhelmed and fatigued by Facebook and how it's all ads and AI and crazy and like marketplace and shopping and commercials. It's like, there's something nice about like, what if you could just go on MySpace? You have your 25 friends, you message them.
25 now.
Well, 25 friends total.
8.
Only 8 make the top 8. I don't know. That would be my advice for them if they want any brand advice. Is upload the old MySpace and let people play around.
Here's what my advice would be. Either scratch that, or in addition to that, create a sister or a new site called Your Space.
Oh, I love that.
So I go on and I create a profile of how I see you.
Oh.
And you make one for how you see me.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Seems like you know who would like that as bullies.
Yep. So I would be like, decided not to do jog club anymore. I gave it a good go. 4 pages in the Roosevelt book. Can I also say, just because this has been on my mind since you said like it. Yeah. Am I the only one that struggles with the limited amounts of like options? I either have to like something, love something, or hug the heart, like I care about it. I feel like I don't have enough options. Like sometimes doesn't seem like quite enough, and love seems like way too much. So I tend to use, I think, how the company sees it incorrectly, the hugging heart, because I do like to hug. Yeah. So I'm like, but I think you're only supposed to send that like if someone has passed.
I think that's like when somebody had a really hard day and they're in need of some support.
Yeah, but it's like...
like someone will be like, man, buy one, get one burgers at the Habit today, and you send a hug.
Are you making fun of... my conversations in the Discord about the recent sales at Habit Burger?
I actually considered getting the app to try this Habit Burger because I've never had a burger from Habit.
Until June 1st, they have buy one, I forget what they call their burgers, flame burgers or something.
Oh, okay.
Buy one, get one free.
I'll do you one better. Tomorrow night, Friday night, let's go. When are you eating it then?
Any other time. I only see you a couple of hours a week. I do eat other times.
You don't want to have a burger with me on a Friday night? You don't want to commit to it. You might not be in the mood.
You never know what you're going to be in the mood for.
I have a beef with...
Speaking of burgers, that would have been a better segue. No, I don't want to say better because that seems like bully.
Al, okay, delete all this. Speaking of beef, I have a beef.
No.
In 2006... Tom and DeWolf did an interview.
Babe, let's bring it. Here's what you want to do. Speaking of burgers, I have a beef.
Speaking of burgers, I have a beef with MySpace. In 2006, they did an interview with Forbes. Forbes asked, this is in the context of like many other questions that they had been asked. 2006, by the way, so this is a while ago. Mm-hmm. There's a good deal of buzz today around 2 different kinds of communication technologies, text messaging and podcasting.
No, 2006?
How funny is that line? 2 different kinds of communication technologies, text messaging and podcasting.
I have to tell my mom something, and I can't decide if I should just text her or make a podcast and send her the link.
The interviewer asks, what are you planning on those fronts? Asking, and this is like MySpace is still doing well, 2006. DeWolf says, podcasting is not really that different from streaming music, which we've done for quite a long time. Having a traditional podcast that people subscribe to, the hype is ahead of the quality. That's
probably very accurate.
Podcasting is essentially a download, and you run into copyright issues. What you're left with currently is podcast talk radio. If it's an established station like NPR, it's fabulous. The average person having a talk radio show will not be that great.
Huh. Wow. I also, speaking of burgers, have a beef with MySpace.
How dare you?
Say or as Michelle would say, how rude.
How rude.
My first Full House reference in 106 episodes.
It was about time. It's about time. Wow.
How
Not
rude.
Be that great. They said, we'll keep our eye out and may undertake it at some point.
But this is 20 years ago. Even saying that is 20 years ago feels insane to me. Because you and I we met in 2007.
That's true.
We met 1 year after
And we should have started a podcast then. We sure as hell wouldn't be sitting at my dining room table.
Look, we make a small but modest income on it now, thanks to the Patreon, which we really appreciate. But yes, we would be living like queens.
We would be living like queens. He also went on to say, we love snapshots of technologies past. He just says like, well, there's a couple different ways that people text message one another on MySpace. There's instant messaging on the site. We also have an internal email product where people write messages. You can also leave testimonials on your friends' pages. Just like how different was it was not that long ago that this was like completely novel.
Yeah. And
Unreal.
I'm like waking up and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to leave a testimonial on Marissa's page today.
Hey, keep up the great work. Or would it be like, it's funny, like almost, it's like hard to remember what life was like before cell phones, where you're like, oh, if I had to meet you at a concert, we would just like hope to run into each other. We both show up at 8 and we just like hope to run into each other.
Yeah. Like meet me at the 8th gate bathroom.
Yes. If you separated from your friends, like at Disneyland, good luck. You'll meet them at the car at 10 p.m. You're never seeing them again.
I feel like I have gone through all the technologies, like so many of them. I have had home phones. My dad had a very early cell phone that was like, it's like this thing, which like had a cord.
Yeah.
It was probably $2 a minute. I've had pagers. I've had flip phones. I've had smartphones. I've had, iPods, pads, everything. We just kind of keep moving. But I will say, I was thinking this week, what has Apple done for me lately?
That's a great question.
What the frick is Tim Cook doing? Like,
I don't know.
What new is coming out? I don't need the night. I've still never got the watch. What new are you giving me?
He's up there diddling on his ding dong because he sure as hell is not creating anything that is making our lives better or easier. And the new iPhones that come out, it used to, we've ranted so much about this. It used to be like, oh, this one has like a completely new feature, a completely new whatever. And now it's like the camera is like,
it's always the
megapixels
camera.
better.
And
it's
I still don't even have the one that
cares?
has the 3 lenses in
It's
it.
fine. It doesn't matter. I'm going back. I'm sometimes consider, I want to get a landline.
For years, I finally did unplug it. For years, I had a classic pick up the receiver dial, not push button phone plugged into my home. I didn't even really use my home number for anything, but I had one, and it would ring on occasion. That beautiful, like actual
jangly
bell,
ring,
like a real bell inside the phone. I loved it. I felt very Carrie Bradshaw.
It's very cute. My mom has one of those in her house. One of the conditions when she moved in, she wanted a landline. She had this old timey phone, and we got a landline and plugged it in for her. And then the kids would come over and just like pick it up and like call random people too much that we had to unplug it, but it's still there. And there's a lot of issues with landlines now. Brand rant landlines. The spam calls are out of control. My mom still has a landline. Anytime the phone rings, she doesn't answer it because it's always a spam call.
If I still have one, I don't have it plugged in.
You got to get one.
My mom had, and then we'll get off phones. My mom had a replica of a vintage phone, but not the cool kind that like Pottery Barn had. Hers was the kind that Andy Griffin had. So it was
Andy
like
Griffith with this.
The pole, like you had to pick this thing up and hold it here. Try calling your friends and talking for more than 2 minutes on this thing.
You're sweating.
You're like holding this weird little thing up. You're like this. Hey, Mabel, so are we going to the yogurt shop?
Oh my God. I still think it's better than anything that's come since. No, that's it on MySpace.
Okay.
What a journey.
Beautiful episode. It's taken us everywhere. Now I want to rewatch War Games. Do you remember how like he's like one of the first things he does is changes his grade, and then I think he gets airline tickets, and then he goes and meets that old man who's like tortured by I think the death of his son, Joshua.
You, me, War Games, The Habit, 2 for 1, Friday night. See you there.
I love that for me. I'm like, but I want to get both hamburgers.
Because I'm thinking like, oh, you, me, David, and Alistair, we can just pay for 2 burgers and we'll all each go. And you're like, well, okay, how about you get 2 for 1, David and Al get 2 for 1, I get 2 for 1, and then I give you an extra, you have 3.
I'm there.
Say no more. No, it's interesting to know that's what the hesitation was about, was your fear that you weren't getting enough burgers.
Know. I am such a Slytherin. I am Sally Slytherin. Well, that was an awesome episode. I learned stuff that I don't understand how I had never even heard.
I know,
the
right?
story
All the hacker stuff. That's so fun. Like the biggest raid in like FBI history was like a bunch of like nerds, and Tom from MySpace was one of them.
The one thing I feel like it's missing, I would like to know is where is Tom now?
Oh, actually, I will give you that update. I meant to say that. So Tom actually did something extremely brilliant. He took it. So this is what I wish that like more tech people would do this, because you really want it to be like take your money and run. And instead they like just seem to get more and more greedy and evil like as time goes on. Really,
when is
it's just
enough
like,
enough?
when is enough enough? Tom took his money.
Oh, yes.
And he is now living an incredible life. He has a gorgeous, sexy...
I was going to say he gave it to people. He kept it all.
He kept it all. He has I'm sure he gave it away to some charity. And he invests in like, AI or whatever. But he is traveling the world. He's a photographer now. He's just like living the best life. Somebody even, this was a while ago, but he's active on like social media. So this was in sometime several years ago. He posted on Twitter, what was then Twitter. People keep asking, so I'll say it. Fear over Instagram's terms change is ridiculous. Get real, folks. He's just like commenting on Instagram, something that they went on in their like policy changes. Somebody responded and says the guy that was not able to keep a social network alive, tried to roast Tom from MySpace.
Not gonna work.
Tom says the guy who sold MySpace in 2005 for $580 million while you slave away hoping for a half day off. Ice cold.
Okay. I'm
the
team
bitch
Tom.
is back.
And just picture him like this saying that.
He really leans into his like MySpace. He'll like post on it. He's such a dork. I think he's in his 50s now. You go to his Instagram page. He's very active on Instagram. He posts all of his their gorgeous travel photos. It's his wife's like perfect ass, like in like a thong bikini, like overlooking the cliffs of Montenegro, wherever, somewhere gorgeous. But then he also posts like memes of like himself, like from his MySpace Tom profile photo. So he's doing great.
He's gonna be okay.
Thank you for asking. I meant to give a where is he now? Yeah. So don't worry about Tom. He's living the good life.
Good for him.
Is MySpace on brand for you?
You know what? I will say MySpace is on brand for me because I'm a music boy, so I like anything that helps people discover new music. I think it's very easy. I'm not pointing fingers to know a couple of bands and be okay with that when there is so much amazing. It's like podcasts. It's like I read that there's like 4 million podcasts and it's all about discovery. Like if they need to be able to find you in order to like you. And it's hard to find when there's that much. So anything that helps people discover new music, I think is great. I think
I'm
it's great
always
for the
looking
artist.
for the next great barbershop quartet.
I know. I had to laugh out loud because I looked at one of our old Freaks Ask Questions thing last night and someone was like, John, what's your favorite Cure album? Marissa, what's your favorite barbershop quartet?
Main Street at Disneyland, obviously. Obviously, out front of the Carnation ice cream shop.
So yeah, I mean, because this should be a movie. It should definitely have Matt Damon. I don't know who played the young him. Like, I don't understand how this is not a movie.
I know, right?
Or a series.
Yeah.
Maybe it was and we just don't know. But yes, long-winded way of saying it's on brand. What about you?
Yes, it's on brand for me. And I would argue that if Facebook never was invented, the world would be a better place. I think there's a lot of corruption and misinformation that spread on Facebook that we did not have that problem on MySpace. MySpace was the perfect level of social media. We did not need to go past that. You could see what your friends were up to. You could write testimonials about them. You could upload some pictures. That was like all we ever needed to be. It's too much now. MySpace is where it should have stopped. Tom, we owe you everything.
Let's have lunch.
Let's have lunch,
Tom. I love it. That would be great if Tom reached out and was like, hey, I heard your show.
Honestly, he's such an interesting guy. Maybe he'll share the episode. Maybe he'll tweet it.
Maybe he'll tweet it. Maybe he'll post it. Maybe he'll make that his status.
That'd be awesome.
You know, something I'm going to do for this month, it is now officially Pride Month. I'm a very proud homo in the community.
And I'm a proud ally.
Thank you. So I thought what might be fun for the month of June is I'm going to give unless I forget. I feel like I set these goals and then forget, but I didn't forget today. So I'm going to give a shout out to a small queer-owned business.
Oh, great.
So the one I'm going to give a shout out to today is a company, I believe they started in Michigan, called That Gay Guy Candle Company. And this is obviously a candle company. My friend Aaron gave me a candle from this place. And it just seems like a really cool place. What they do there, you've seen, I don't know that brand that does the ones that we kind of were joking about earlier. They'll be like, this candle is the smell of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He kind of does a play on that where you can pick like different candles that say funny things. You could get like simple things that are like World's Greatest Mom or I Heart Pickleball. But you can also get like, holy shit, you actually graduated. I love your dad bod and gray sweat sweatpants season.
Perfect for Father's Day coming up.
Perfect for Father's Day. And what I liked about it was if you buy I Love Your Dad bod, which I do not mind a dad bod.
As we know.
It's not going to smell like soap, and it's like
Myspace headquarters.
He actually has a long list of scents, so you can pick the scent you want in your candle.
Oh, nice. That's great.
And from that, you can get like clean cotton, you can get sea salt and orchid, Christmas warmth, a bunch of different ones. So you pick your scent, pick your funny little thing, and send it. I enjoy them. I support small businesses. Gift. So that is my shout out for.
That's awesome. I love that. I thought you were going to give a shout out to our gay, to like an individually gay like listener.
I found out we have.
You know who's gay?
I've made everyone tell me whether they're queer or not.
They fill out a survey as soon as they start listening.
And I can just tell. So if you do want to visit that is just thegayguydcandlecompany.com.
How fun.
Yeah. Great. And so now I want to give out our shout outs to our Freaks of the Week. This is for the Chuck E. Cheese and Dave Buster's Insta Egg. Very simple. I had a picture of Chucky and a piece of cheese, Chucky. And the people who got it right and got on our Wheel of Freaks and were picked are the following: Tim, Sylvia, Carrie, Sandifer, Christian Castro, Brianne, and Joe Andrews. So congratulations. Thank you so much for playing the Insta Egg. If you're not familiar, every Wednesday I post an Insta Egg on our Instagram story. It's a little, it lets you figure out what our brand is going to be the next day. If you get it right, you get a little freak badge and you get your name added to the Wheel of Freaks. I spin that 5 times and pick 5 Freaks of the Week. So I could be saying your name next week. So be sure to play. And also check out our Instagram every week for our little packet of supplemental materials that gives you just more insight and pictures. And we decide if the founders are hot or not. Zuckerberg, at times I do think was hot. Now, I don't know if he's that hot.
What about Tom from Myspace?
Tom, cute.
I think you'll think he's hot now.
Okay.
A little older.
With the dad, I'll get him a dad bod candle.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out our supplementals and follow our socials. Thanks.
And while we're giving shout outs, I'd like to shout out some lovely listeners who've left us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. First up, we have Dallas Witt. Great pod, heard you two on Doughboys, and have been a listener since. Love the pod, love the camaraderie, and love the cozy feel of the show. Your show is a weekly must listen. How sweet.
Okay.
Bailey, Mrs. November. I'm assuming that's in the calendar she posed nude in. She's Mrs. November. Love the pod. Jon and Marisa are a joy to listen to, learn a lot, laugh a lot, have great chemistry. Every single episode is worth a listen. On Brand is on brand for me. You guys, it's so nice. It helps the show, and it really makes our day to hear these nice words you guys have to share. So if you haven't left us a review on Apple Podcasts, please go over and do that. Check out our Instagram at OnBrandThePod, TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast. Play Jon's Insta Egg game. Check out our Patreon if you want to listen to another episode a week on Tuesdays. It's more yapping, less crapping.
I do want to say one thing about the Patreon, because someone this week, a good friend of mine, was like, hey, I know you guys keep talking about the Patreon. I don't know what that is. So just for the people that aren't familiar with it, it is a site that is around for people who have podcasts where you can help support us financially, to be honest. So we create a whole second podcast. For us personally, we create a whole second podcast called Off Brand. You can do a monthly subscription of either $5 or $8 that gets you bonus material. It gets you access to our Discord and lets you talk to us. So if you're not familiar with it, you just go to our Instagram and we've got a link in our socials on how to get there.
Yeah, I think or if you search On Brand with Jon and Marisa Patreon, it should come up now at this point. Maybe.
Always add Jon and Marisa, because now there's a Jimmy Fallon show called On Brand, and there's a Russell Brand.
We have some rivals out there in the world. So yeah, make sure you say with On Brand with Jon and Marisa, and we should pop up. And yeah, you can get an extra episode every Tuesday as well as supporting the show. So we would really appreciate that if you're interested in helping us out. And with that, we'll be back next week with an all new episode.
And like I always like to say, we may go off topic, but we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Goodbye.